Well, welcome back to another edition of the Inside Syracuse Basketball Podcast. I'm Mike Waters of syracuse.com, and I'm back this week with former Syracuse point guard Brandon Triche. And Brandon, we're recording this podcast on the morning after Syracuse's big win over Tennessee on Tuesday night
Yes.
at the JMA Wireless Dome. A heck of a win. Just an incredible night at the Dome. The crowd was into it. The players were they played with the intensity that Adrian Autry has been wanting them to play with,
hmm
all season long. But just a huge game. And what were your initial thoughts? After watching the way they played and to beat off the 13th ranked team in the country.
Well, hello, Mike. How you doing?
I'm
First,
good, man. Yeah, I know. I dive right in. I'm so
I
ready
know,
to talk. We should chit chat a little bit.
right?
How you been? How was your
Uh,
Thanksgiving?
it was pretty good. My holiday's pretty good. Family was in town, so incredible. Obviously, atmosphere. You always got your family in town. So Black Friday did a little bit of shopping. So I had nice little holidays.
Good deal. Yeah, my coworker Donna Datota and I were, of course, out in Vegas last week, and
Oh,
we were
Vegas.
trying to get home, of course, as early as we could for Thanksgiving. And Syracuse had a game
Mm.
that started at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday against Iowa State, and the team and everybody just found out about the time of that game the night before. Literally, I think the Syracuse coaches and players had about 12 hours notice that they were going to play Iowa State at 10 a.m. Pacific time the next morning. So we had to get on a red eye. We were lucky. We got a red eye out of Vegas for Wednesday
Mm.
night. It was delayed a couple times, and we got a little worried about our connection in Chicago, but we made that too. And I was home by noon on Thanksgiving Day, so made it. It was great.
Oh man. Well,
Yeah,
that's a blessing for sure.
I
I know
know it
with
was
you
got
know
a,
the
got a little
gov.
dicey there when the plane in Vegas was getting delayed a couple times. We kept
I know. I feel like I never. Every time I travel back to Syracuse from wherever, it always get delayed. I'm like, why? And obviously, there's no direct flight to Syracuse, so
no,
that makes
there's
it a little bit tough.
yep,
But to answer your question, after them going 0-3, going losing to Iowa State by a lot,
yeah,
losing to Kansas by a little, and basically should have beat Houston. Um, I know my confidence was a little bit lower on Syracuse just because of the way they perform. Um, I thought that Tennessee was, they seemed like a mature team. I'm not sure who's older, as far as like having fifth year seniors and stuff like that, but um, they actually played a little slower, which I think helped Syracuse. We were just talking off air. I believe Syracuse is really good when they play slower because the game gonna side with their defense a little bit better. If the game is above, in the 80s and 90s with those top teams, I don't think Syracuse can compete with that. But if it's in the 60s, it's almost like they should try to make it a little bit slower so that in the 60s they'll have that win for sure. But it was an incredible game, like you said, from watching it on TV, the atmosphere, the fans were there. It was supposed to be a snowstorm, so I'm glad that the fans were able to come out. Um, a game that they for sure needed, right? You think
right,
about those quad one wins, and I think I seen something they were like 2-19 their last 21 games against quad one. So you need those wins, right? Obviously, playing the
absolutely.
ACC, that means you're gonna have to be a Duke, you have to be a UNC, especially if you want to make the tournament down at the end.
Yeah, I was wondering. You mentioned something there, and it struck me. Like you were talking about how you were feeling about the team coming back from Vegas after watching them play out there, and I think that second half against Iowa State stuck with a lot of people
Mhm,
who like because yeah, they played four and a half amazing halves.
mhm,
Houston, Kansas, and the first half against Iowa State. They were fine. They were only down two at half against Iowa State. The second
mhm.
half, though, being the third game in 3 days and the way it happened, I was wondering. I know how people outside the program felt like, oh man, this is awful.
Mhm.
But the vibe I was getting from the players last night was that they were fine.
Yeah.
They actually took a lot of confidence from the way they played. They basically erased the second half against Iowa State from their memory banks, and they focused on how they played against Houston, Kansas, and the first half against Iowa State. They said they took a lot of confidence into the Tennessee game because of it. And I thought that was maybe an interesting approach, and maybe that gets into the mind of an athlete, really, you know?
I think to speak on that, it's tough after you lose three,
Mm-hmm.
because that 30-point loss wouldn't have been so bad if they got Houston or got Kansas.
Yeah.
But when you kind of like slowly but surely get worse and worse, you should have beat Houston. All right, cool. You lose by 11 to Kansas and they down their best player. Okay, we're down our best player. So you're like, all right, Iowa State, let's get we definitely can get them. And you lose by 30, it's like, oh my God, it's getting worse and worse. And then the flaws still, even in this game, the flaws were still there. You're right. Syracuse shot 59% free throws, which is better than their average.
A little bit.
A little bit better than the average, but Kyle Guy was able to make it when it was most important. But just going off the Vegas, it do leave like a bad taste in your mouth because it's like, as a fan, you wanna see Syracuse do really well. And I think because of the new team, it's a new, obviously Adrian Autry, still a new coach, new atmosphere. Um, they're bringing their own style of play into the dome. So you want to see those guys do well and get the best chances to do well. So just watching them play, I mean, it's incredible. One, I don't know if they should have stormed the court, but
Yeah, those are
I don't know when the last time that happened, but
those are college kids. I give them, I give them a pass. I know what you're
like,
saying about that. So, what does it say about Adrian Autry and his staff? From Alan
mhm.
Griffin to Brendan Strawn, Dan Engelstadt, all the way down the rest of the staff, that they were able to get those guys ready to go against Tennessee after having a little bit less than a week to prepare for that game and to maybe dispel the memory of Vegas.
Well, the most important part was the game was home. I mean, that helps. Game
Okay.
being home, them having a week of practice, them being able to rest, guys who probably were a little bit banged up, were able to get treatment and things like that. So, I think you seen them 100% as athletes. Obviously, the game was up and down. What I do think what happened is Adrian has found his rotations a little bit better. He from me just watching it, I kind of see how the season will fold out as far as the playing time. From me, was it
Yeah.
just the eighth game? So you can tell, like, he's gonna, if Kings play well, he's gonna be out there. He's gonna be out there for the majority of the time because one, he had an incredible first half, right? He didn't, and we just looked it up. He didn't shoot the whole second half.
We'll get into
Sometimes,
that. We'll get into that in a minute.
but to
But
be
go ahead.
honest, when I played, it was almost like once you do your job, which is your average, you need everybody else to catch up.
Yeah.
So if I was averaging 14 points and I had 14 points in the first half, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm cool because I got my average. So now somebody's not scoring right now. Somebody has 6 points who averaged 15.
Mhm.
So, and I think that's kind of what happened. Kings had his great game in the first half. Then now you have JJ was able to score points. Obviously, Kyle was able to get buckets, like he do through his hustle.
Mhm.
George was playing a pretty solid floor game. And you also had Sadiq, who, man, he was like pretty much the MVP, if you will, after just watching it because he was just able to get so many tough rebounds. He made a three. I didn't even know he was left-handed, to be
Until you
I think
saw
that's
him
the
take that
first,
three, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the first shot I seen.
Everything else
Uh,
has been around the rim mostly this year. So
right. So I'm like, oh wow, he's left-handed. So what they did was they played a team game. And I get, again, I'm gonna have to go back on just if they're able to actually keep teams and play a little slower on purpose and try to keep teams around that 65 and under, they can beat anybody in America. But
well,
if you're trying to have a shootout battle, that's when it becomes tough.
their defensive effort. First of all, I thought the defensive effort on all three games in Vegas was great up until the
Hmm.
second half, Iowa State. But last night. I don't know when we're going to get this podcast out, but we're recording Wednesday morning against Tennessee on Tuesday night. They held
Hmm.
Tennessee to 60 points. That was obviously Tennessee's season low. A previous season low was 76. But I went back to last season, and I know it's apples to oranges to compare
Hmm.
this year's Tennessee team versus last year, but only three teams held Tennessee to 60 points or fewer last year. Florida, national champions. Auburn, great team. And Houston.
Yeah.
And Houston was the team that was played Florida in the national championship. Those are three great teams and great defensive teams. Again, apples to oranges, but still, that's what Syracuse did to Tennessee. They held
I
them to 60 points.
that's what I was saying, like in the previous pods, that they're a great defensive team. It's just if you just playing super fast on offense, it's hard to be a great defensive team. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure what Tennessee personnel was. I know this game, they had carry average 5 points and he ends up with 25. So it's like
He was a big
I
boy.
would say is that how they is that how they play, but I guess not. If you ask
Not
them 5
usually.
points,
No, usually the
yeah,
offense grows the freshman, the tall freshman, Nate Ament,
yeah,
who JJ Starling did a magnificent job on defensively.
hmm
6'4" guarding 6'10", and JJ was phenomenal. And then
yeah,
the other offense for Tennessee runs through Jacoby Gillespie, their point guard.
right,
And Nate Kings did a great job on him too.
hmm
So
yeah, man. I think in this game it kind of like you got Tyler Betsy, who's a really great shooter, but he had what one good game versus Houston, right? And then he
yeah,
was
and
just
he had another
letting
game
it
where he
fly.
was in double digit. Yeah, he was shooting threes in Vegas.
Yeah, in Vegas, he had one good game, and then he was just letting them fly. You know what I mean? So sometimes you can shoot your team in the games, and sometimes you can shoot them out. Um, and I think Cayenne, if I'm looking, he was 2 for 5, right? So those two guys were in last previous games was shooting 12 and 13 shots per game. You know what I mean? So I think now, I know we always talk about a team win, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think there should be three guys who always shoot a similar amount of times, right? I don't think it should be spread out where everybody gets gets to shoot as much as possible.
So who you
Y-
want taking the
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 shots,
majority of the shots? I
I
can guess
think,
one.
yeah, I think JJ is good
Yeah.
at 10 to 12 shots.
Mm-hmm.
He's just playing. If he makes shots, he shoot them.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you wanted him to. I think he is doing it, working himself into rhythm. I think in maybe 2 or 3 games, you might see a nice little 20-point burst. If Donnie come back or when Donnie comes back, you want Donnie taking those shots. You want Nate Kings to be around 8 shots, like that 4 for 8 kind of range.
Yeah, and last night he
Um,
was 6 of 10, so close.
yeah.
A couple shots better
Well,
than
Nate, that was Nate
your
Kings.
average.
That was Nate Kings. So him, he's gonna be up and down. I feel like,
Okay.
but I was referring to Nate George
Oh, okay.
as
Too
a
many
as a point
Nates.
guard. As a point guard, you want him to be around like 4 for 8, 3 for 8, whatever the case may be on a great game. And then when you got to reserves, if they're hitting, they're hitting.
Right.
But I feel like Cayenne is good at 6, 7 shots a game. If he's 3 for 6, that's a great game. That's close to 10 points, get fouled.
Yep.
Betsy, same thing. It just seems like everybody wasn't just chucking this game. And it actually, helped Syracuse. Again, whether they did it on purpose, they definitely played a little slower, maybe because they had to. But it benefited Syracuse because one, they're up 9 points, so they could have put them away. But like you said, Tennessee is a good team, so and they seem mature. The way Tennessee was playing, they seem like a mature team. Didn't do
They
any
are.
like.
Gillespie, the point guard's a senior. Their starting two guard, Boswell's a senior.
Hmm.
I don't know what year Akpara is in the middle, the big center, Felix
Yeah.
Akpara, but I know he's been around. So he's not young. The carry kid off the bench, I'm going to take a quick peek right now. I want to say, yep, a junior.
Hmm.
Really, the only youngster on the team is arguably the most talented one out there.
Yeah,
That
as a freshman.
freshman, Nate Ament, 6'10" freshman. People are saying he might be a lottery pick next year in the NBA draft. So no,
Hmm.
that's a veteran team out there. They got plenty of experience. I want to go back to what you were talking about with the defense,
Hmm.
and I want to zone in on one guy. I think Will Kyle at center is the guy that Syracuse's defense is predicated on. Just what he's able to do, his
Hmm.
mobility, his athleticism, and then last night he was showing that off with 6 blocked shots. Your thoughts, Mr. Triche?
Man, when we first, like I said, the first game, I'm like, he's getting steals, If he's not getting a steal, he's tipping the ball. He's just all over the place. He obviously had a 44-inch vertical, so he's able to just intimidate you, right? He's able to actually block your shot. I think he's the anchor to the defense. Um, Supreme athlete. I think he's for sure ACC first team. If not,
Gotta be.
if they win enough, defensive player of the year. It's
Yeah,
no way somebody's better than that.
right.
He just, once he goes against those Cam Boozers and stuff like that, when you see him like have to play defense, I think that's when it's going to really show him
Yeah.
making it tough for those guys. But man, they have. I mean, I think the cool part is that this year Syracuse can move their feet.
Mm,
Even on the perimeter, like they play a good enough defense where the player isn't getting like a running start to the basket. Now, if Kyle had to guard somebody who's running 100 miles per hour at the basket, and then it might be a foul,
hmm
sometimes that'd be the issue. You know, but Syracuse playing a good enough defense that he is a great on the ball defender, but off the ball as well.
He made one block last night. It wasn't. He actually made two blocks that stood out to me.
Mm-hmm.
He got the one where he got Akpara at the rim, and I
Mm-hmm.
know that big kid didn't think there was any way possible that someone could block that shot. And then there was another one where it wasn't the block that was the amazing part to me. It was the recovery. He was guarding one guy, somebody else's man got to the basket, and William recovered so fast and got back there and got a block. But those two,
Yeah, I definitely remember mine's, and we could be talking about the same block as the I would say the game winning one when they thought it was like I thought the guy just missed the layup, but he actually pushed the ball on the other side of the rim. But it
yes,
looked like he just missed it. I'm like, wow, he actually got that one. Like,
yeah, he's a
wow,
jumping jack. He was up there so fast.
great timing for sure.
Yeah, and you know, I was wondering too. I mean, you were a good free throw shooter, but you probably played with a few guys who struggled at the line.
Mm.
There's William Kyle with 13 seconds to go in the game, and the game is tied. And
Oh man,
he's about a 40 something percent free throw shooter, and he misses the first. And I was just, what must be going through his mind? What's going through the mind of his teammates back there? We're waiting for him to take that second free throw, and he makes it. You've been out there, what's it like there when you know you have a teammate who's going to struggle at this, and you send him up the line to see if he can make one?
to me, which is funny enough, you could be an 80% shooter all the way into the last 5 seconds of the game. The last 5 seconds of the
Right.
game, everybody's a 30% shooter. It's like no one, if you unless you're really elite, unless
Yeah.
you're really elite, you making 2 out of 2.
Okay.
There's no one's. I don't care. Oh, you 90% shooter. Kevin Durant, he's a 90, and then boom. Oh yeah, that makes sense. He missed that one. Why did he
Right.
miss it? Oh, I need to go practice. No, it's not practice.
So
It's a
how
mental
does Will?
thing.
I mean, credit to Will Kyle
He
for making that second shot.
and it looks smooth. So his shot actually from the side, from the camera side angle, actually looks like a good shot until you see like it from the front.
Yeah, the front. Yeah,
The front angle, you'd be like, oh wow, okay. But from the side, I was like, oh, he fixed it. But because what I was watching, and the free throws, I didn't see the 10 free throws because I know they fouled him on purpose a few times.
seemed like it.
Um, but I seen he made one. I was like, okay, nice. And then when he made that one, I just knew how the game was going that he was going to make it.
Really.
Yeah,
Right.
like sometimes I have that feeling like, okay, Syracuse can't lose. Whatever's gonna go is gonna go for them. If that guy tied it, at the end, if Kerry hit the floater or whatever at the end, and it was gonna be over, like whatever it was, it just felt like Syracuse was gonna win that game. And then I thought it was super fitting that with them as a team shooting only 57%, and then now today you shoot 59%, and your worst free throw shooter hits a game winning free throw.
It's all it took. One more made free throw against Houston, and they'd have another win similar to the one against Tennessee. Two
Hmm.
quad one. Boy, what would we be talking about in terms of the Orange today if they
Yeah.
had beaten Houston and they have wins over Houston and Tennessee to their name?
Top
Um,
20, top 20. They probably
you
would put them right at
know,
21, 19. And then it probably would increase as because I'm assuming they play lesser talent the next few games.
They do. There's some traps there. There's some traps between now
Mm.
and the start of ACC play. I mean, teams like St. Joseph's and Hofstra aren't half bad. They're
Same,
they're
man.
they're
They
somewhere
Syracuse,
between about
Syracuse.
150 to 200 in the Ken Pomeroy ratings, which is a team that can get you if
Yeah,
you're not
no,
ready.
you definitely can. Or you could take them serious and beat them by 30.
Which is what Syracuse needs to do.
Yeah,
We've
was
come to
that?
learn this, that with the rating systems that the NCAA uses and
Hmm.
everything, they don't take in the margin of victory, but they do take into account efficiency, offensive and
Yeah,
defensive efficiency numbers, and those correlate to margin of victory. So, yeah, you got to win. So we'll
yeah.
see how they handle this. It's interesting. It's how will they handle this type of success, this type of big win? It's their first ranked win, a win over a ranked opponent since a win over North Carolina 2 years ago. It's their
Hmm.
first win over a non-conference ranked team in the regular season since they beat Ohio State in November of 2018. It's been a long time since Syracuse gotten this type of win. I think that's why
Mm.
maybe you saw that court storming.
Yeah, I mean, they probably. I'm trying to think. Have I been a part of a court story? Have I?
You
Had to be, right? Had to be
Well, the
like
problem
Georgetown,
is you played on
UConn.
teams that were nationally ranked. You were like number one in the country
Yeah, so we
a
were
couple
already,
times.
but you had to
So
rival. You had to have like a rival, right? So you had to have like a Georgetown or a Villanova, maybe Villanova.
did you
You know what's
guys?
funny? I remember.
Wait, what about your freshman year when you beat Villanova and that meant you were going to be number one that next month?
Maybe,
Was there a court storming that
but
day?
funny enough, the sort of I don't remember none of mine, but I definitely remember the one where we Syracuse fans was about to court storm, and the guy hit the half court shot.
Oh, I know. Suleiman from Duke.
Yeah,
I
was
know
it?
the game. You're
No,
talking about
not that time.
2014.
Well, that time, but it was another time. It was like 2020. It had to be like
Oh, wait, you're talking about
Was it Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah. And he hits the
and
shot.
and they
Everyone's
had to
like,
clear the court,
yeah.
and
It's
then they
like,
ruled that he didn't
it
get it
didn't
off
count.
in time. They
Yeah.
cleared it again, and then I think there were three court stormings at that Pittsburgh game.
Yeah, that was incredible. That was like the
I want to
only
say that was Carmelo Anthony and Jerry McNamara's freshman year.
yeah, it was I know it was in that era. That's why I said it was like 2005-ish.
Wow.
Probably like you said, a little bit before. But
So
that
that would
was
have been
the
a very young Brandon Triche memory there, 2003.
so the reason why is because so on the camera, right? One of the guys who was like running on the court, he actually went to JD and played at JD. So all you see was his head, like, and then he's holding his head like this. He's actually played basketball. So I remember that.
So you know this guy.
Yeah, I knew the guy who was like the first one. He tried to like when the ball was in the air, he was already running on the court.
I saw on the video from the Tennessee court storming on Tuesday night. There was a funny part. There was a kid in an orange long sleeve tee, and he gets out on the court and trips and falls.
And the
And
cheerleaders picking him
and
up.
two cheerleaders stumbled right over him, so he tripped
Uh,
up two cheerleaders. So it
oh,
was
I thought they
sort
went
of
to go
like,
pick him up.
no, they fell too.
Oh, okay, okay.
He took them all out. It was like watching bowling pins fall over each other. You got to watch out in those court stormings. They're fun on occasion, but every once in a
Yeah,
while, yeah,
I get out of the way.
that's a lot
I
of
start
humanity.
shaking hands. I don't know.
I
Sometimes I
think
wish I
Pearl had it right. You make the shot and you just
and
keep
run.
running for the tunnel.
Yeah. Oh my God. Syracuse got some nice game winners. I could think of at least five really great game winners.
All right,
Um,
let's just pull one each. You pull one, I'll pull one.
uh,
I got
the
one
J- the
already.
John the John Gillen one was pretty
Oh
incredible.
man, you took mine. You did. You took mine.
Because wait, the Pearl no, the Pearl one was definitely at the Dome. That was
Yes,
they looked like they was playing on a rubber court.
it was the old tartan surface, I think.
Oh,
It
okay,
was
okay.
tartan they used to call, I think, and it was terrible on your knees. By the way, I'm
Yeah.
old enough to know what those courts felt like. But Pearl was against Boston College. You mentioned John Gillen. That was the great shot against Duke.
Hmm.
Um, and now, oh, you know what? It didn't win the game, but Jason Sapola's a buzzer
Mm.
beater in the '96 Sweet 16 against Georgia John
Mm.
Wallace threw the inbounds pass, cross court. Sapola catches it, makes a baseline jumper, sends the game to overtime.
I mean,
That's
obviously
mine.
you got that one. You got Eric Devendorf send it to overtime. You have
You got Eric
well,
Devendorf that didn't
technically
count.
it didn't count. Then you got Tyler Ennis, Pittsburgh.
Oh, Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and that's in the zoo. So, oh my God,
Yeah,
that
that was
out of
good.
all places, when people are like, oh, what's the worst place? They're like on top of you. That's when I was like, the zoo made me think of Syracuse and how bad our how bad our like setup is. Because it's like our
Yeah.
fans are so far, but our students who are young is going to be like talk crazy is so far from the court, and
The
their
Oakland Zoo
students
at
is on
Pittsburgh
top of you.
is,
They're on
yes.
top of you. Like you can hear what
Oh,
they're saying.
oh yeah, and you don't have to try hard to hear. They're loud
Yeah, they're
enough,
right there.
and
You just go for a
they're
lip
not
line. They'll
shy.
follow you while you walking
But I have
too.
never heard an arena go from about 110 decibels to nothing in a split second as I did that Pittsburgh crowd that night when Tyler Ennis hit that shot. That
Yeah,
crowd went from raucous to silent. They were stunned. And then all the
yeah.
Syracuse guys ran off the bench and mobbed Tyler. Anyway,
G Mac at the Dome. I mean at MSG.
oh yeah, of course. What am I
Man,
thinking?
there's some great some great
I'm
ones.
glad you mentioned that because if GMAC were to listen to this podcast and we didn't mention him, we'd both be getting text messages. So,
Yeah.
Brandon, we're running out of time here, but this is a pleasure. We'll have more conversations like this as we go along through the season, where we'll talk about the team and the games, but we'll have more chit chat between the two of us because I enjoy it and it's fun. So, listen, thanks for joining me here again on the podcast, Brandon, and thanks to everybody out there too for listening in. Until next time on the Inside Syracuse Basketball Podcast, he's Brandon Triche. I'm Mike Waters.